Welcome back to SmokeHouse. Blunts versus joints. This question has been posed to me by one of our subscribers, so I thought I'd go into this today. And at the end of the video, I'll probably go into other apparatuses for smoking. This isn't really an easy question. It really depends on several factors, whether you're a smoker, whether you want nicotine or not. Because one thing people might not know is blunts have nicotine in them. It's not a terrible lot, but there is nicotine in them. In papers, there is not. And so really that is the biggest issue I think people have with blunts versus joints. And there's actually another caveat to that. Before I get into this, though, I would like everyone to know I am not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I have no medical experience. This is all my own opinions and the things that I've learned from my own experience. Having said that, what I have been told by several friends, both in the medical field and not in the medical field, is that nicotine actually naturally opens the pores of your lungs. Now, why that is a big deal is because THC actually closes the pores of your lungs. And so nicotine can actually enhance your high or allow more THC to get into your system at once, if that makes any sense. And so some people actually prefer blunts because of this, because it does have a little bit of nicotine. And so it will actually help more of that THC get into your lungs. I don't know if this is true medically. This is just what I have been told. Now, that is one big thing with either a blunt or a joint, is that nicotine. If you do not want nicotine in your system, or you're not a smoker and you don't even want to touch that, you probably want to do papers. And if you're going to do papers, I personally would suggest hemp papers. They're more natural, and then you're smoking more along the lines of something that comes from the plant, the cannabis plant itself. So me personally, I like hemp papers. Another thing with blunts and joints. Blunts typically smoke a lot slower than joints. You're able to get a lot more out of it without it burning down. A lot of issue I see with papers, especially if you don't know how to roll them very well, is your papers actually burn a little faster than your flower, especially if you're not rolling correctly or you don't know how to roll correctly. And so that's one issue with papers. With blunts, because they're made with more of a tobacco substance, they burn a lot slower than a paper. Another thing is really how much you want to get in there. A joint is going to hold a lot less flower than a blunt can. It depends on what size of the paper and the blunt, but typically papers are much smaller than blunts. For me, I typically do not like to smoke either a blunt or a joint when I'm by myself. I feel that I'm wasting quite a lot when it's just sitting there burning while I'm not smoking it. So I typically, if I'm by myself, I like to use an actual apparatus, typically a one-hitter or a chillum. A lot of people don't really care about saving their flower. I do. I don't like to be spending all my money on flower all the time. So I like to conserve. Not everybody does. So other ways to smoke is one way is a bong. You're going to be able to get high very quickly, but you're wasting quite a lot of flower to get there. I can get to where I need to be with a one hitter and use 1/8 the amount that somebody else using a bong uses to get to the same level. So that's one reason why I typically don't use a bong when I'm by myself. It's a decent way to smoke if you have a lot of people and you're really wanting to just have fun really quickly. But medicinally, I would probably suggest you use a one hitter or a glass piece like a chillum or a bowl. It's easier to control, and for medicinal, you're not really trying to get stoned all the time. You're probably using it for anxiety, mental health, or physical pain. You probably want to save as much as you can so you're not spending a whole lot of your money. And so that's one thing I suggest. But don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diss joints and blunts. When I'm with a group of friends, like 6 of us, and we have a joint going, it's a great way to smoke. You're really not wasting. You guys, as someone's probably, if no one's holding, you're probably smoking pretty often. And so you're really not wasting. And it's a great way. I mean, just that one blunt will probably get you guys before it's even done. And so I do suggest that. But it's also that nicotine. And smokers might be able to tell you this. If you're a smoker and you smoke some marijuana and you go out and either have a cigarette after or during your smoke, you might feel a little bump where someone else might not. and it's because it's opening those pores. At least that's what I believe. It makes sense to me, at least. Now, there are probably a lot of other apparatuses for smoking now, but the common ones are papers, blunts, bongs, and then pieces like glass and metal. I would suggest glass so you're not getting any kind of metal into your system by cleaning your piece out and getting metal shavings. So I typically use glass and not metal. That's just a personal preference though. And if you're going to use a glass piece, please ask if it's triple blown. If it's not triple blown, it's a pretty cheap piece of glass and it can break very easily. A triple blown glass is very sturdy and can survive a few falls as opposed to a one or double blown glass. Now, please, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. It really helps with the algorithm and getting my video pushed. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to stay up to date with the videos, please hit that bell button. And as always, Jay is going to go smoke a J.